All right, I'm back, Biffy.
Amber Ale is now available in West Virginia and distributed locally by wine and beverage merchants. With its toasty and biscuit-like malt flavors blended perfectly with hoppy freshness, it's bound to become one of your new favorite craft beers. Fat Tire Amber Ale is now available at local retailers. Please don't drink and drive, and drink responsibly. From your friends at Wine and Beverage Merchants.
This is Wheeling Fire Chief Larry Holmes reminding everyone about the seriousness of this COVID-19 in our region during these colder weather months. This virus is spreading rapidly and could put a strain on our hospitals and emergency services. I am asking everyone to please wear a mask. It's important to make sure your mask covers your nose and your mouth at all times. Wearing a mask is one of the only defensive tactics we have to slow this virus down. Remember, wear a mask, stay apart, and wash your hands.
Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection. Now, during the Jim Robinson Ford Lincoln Toyota Pre-Owned Super Sale, select from over 80 vehicles in stock starting under $5,000. Most are local trades, many with one owner. Hurry to Jim Robinson at the Highlands, home of lifetime powertrain protection.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy with a snow shower or two, a daytime high near 33. Overnight low of 17 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Mostly cloudy to start your Wednesday with some early morning snow. Otherwise, mostly cloudy through the afternoon with temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. Hello, everyone. From
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Your morning news, weather, and sports wrapped into his own unique perspective. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe and Brad Leonard in the producer's chair, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Well, it is a Tuesday. It's a snowy Tuesday. Winter weather hits us again. Heavy snow, slick roads, school revisions. They kind of dominate our topics this morning. Be aware of all of those things here in the Upper Ohio Valley. We're in 3 to 5, maybe 4 to 7 inch range of snow accumulation, depending on where you are in the valley. It's beginning to diminish a little bit. Most of the snow came in heavy overnight, still coming down pretty good. I'm looking at the variety of traffic cams that WTRF TV has on their Facebook page right now. And it's still coming down pretty heavy. But according to Zach Petty, it is beginning to diminish. So by noontime, probably the heavy snows will have stopped. And then we'll have a fairly quiet snow, as far as snow goes, afternoon today. Although more snow is going to come back tomorrow and late in the day, and we'll have another bad commute on Thursday. So keep all of that in mind. But right now, check your school situation. Everybody is on some kind of a change, or either on a delay, a cancellation, or many schools are now on remote learning for the day today. The new thing. As I said earlier, I don't know if they'll make a movie called Remote Learning Day in the future. They made a snow day movie once upon a time, because snow day was always the fun day when I was a kid. Now they go to remote learning. I don't know if they'll make a movie about remote learning or not. But that's going to be that's our big issue of the day today, is the weather. Elsewhere, the Trump impeachment trial starts today, officially at 1 o'clock. We'll have updates from ABC News throughout the morning previewing that, and Tom Squitieri, our D.C. reporter, will join us in just a minute. We'll talk about that, plus some other items coming out of the nation's capital. Governor Justice rejects the idea of any limits or any control on his emergency powers. He has been operating under emergency powers because of COVID for almost exactly a year now. As the legislature gets back into session this week, members of the body, both the Democrats and the Republicans, are saying the governor needs to have some kind of control on these. There has to be some kind of control on his executive authority. The governor says, literally yesterday said, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. He thinks all is well, and there's nothing wrong with him staying in complete and total charge. He needs to get a dictionary and take a look at the difference between king and governor. That's just my opinion. As the legislature starts up this week, more groups are hearing about the proposed state income tax reduction or elimination that Republican leadership is proposing. We will later on this morning hear from a child welfare advocate about how these changes could seriously impact child welfare. And we'll shift gears completely next hour. Kevin Miller is an author, and he's written a new novel which is set in Civil War Wheeling. So we'll talk about his new novel, which I have a copy of it right here. White Skies, Black Mingo. White Skies, Black Mingo, written by Kevin Miller. And he's going to join us to talk about that novel. It looks, it's kind of fun. I just got a copy of it yesterday. I just began to skim through it. I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing, but looks pretty interesting, especially if you're a Civil War buff here in the Upper Ohio Valley. And that winter weather advisory still is in effect until 1 o'clock this afternoon officially. Just so you are aware of that. 24 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, 24 degrees here at my home studios in Elm Grove, and 24 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios, downtown Wheeling, in the heart of the Ohio Valley. It's 8:13. Tom Squitieri is here with us, our D.C. reporter. Tom, good morning. As always, welcome to Tuesday.
Thank you. Good morning to you.
There's some other stuff I really want to get into, and I think we've almost, there's not a whole lot to hash out on the impeachment trial at this stage of the game. But I feel to do our due diligence, we need at least take a minute or two to talk about the impeachment trial, which starts today. I think you and I, and just about everybody, concur we know how it's going to end, right?
I believe we could make a wager on how it's going to conclude with the vote. I think this time there will be a majority of votes to convict, but not the sufficient number to actually convict. Even if it's 51-50 with Kamala Harris, Vice President, breaking the tie, that's still not enough to convict. So, the larger question, Howard, is why do it, and what does it mean, and all that. And people can debate that ongoing, from their perspective. You and I have talked about this, and I think it's just an important moment in our history that people have to have the facts laid out. I don't know if the quick trial is going to be what is needed or not, but that's what's happening, and so we have a week of it plus a day or two, I think, is what the schedule calls for.
It is probably going to be a fairly quick trial because the House impeachment managers are not going to call, I don't think, are going to call any witnesses per se. They're going to play some video from the Capitol insurrection, as well as video of the president and his family, I guess, in the impeachment manager's words, inciting the violence. And but I don't think anybody's going to come and be called as an actual sworn-in witness, are they?
I think you're right on that. That's what I've read and that's what I've heard, and the limited reporting I've done it seems to indicate that as well. I believe that if they don't call witnesses, then the other side doesn't call witnesses either, although they can mount a defense. I'm not sure. They did try to subpoena President Trump, as you know, or they did call him and they didn't subpoena him, and he declined to show up. So that was sort of like their big gambit on the witnesses. So I think you're right, no witnesses. But, it's actually, and I was thinking about that, and I'm thinking, well, what witnesses would you call? There are some, perhaps, but the real thing is, you're showing all these tapes, showing these emails, showing the people believing that President Trump incited the riot and gave them permission and encouraged them, et cetera, et cetera. Videos of President Trump at that rally on January 6th. That may be what you need to build the case. It comes down to, well, again, forgetting the fact that we know how it's going to outcome, it comes down to whether or not it's a First Amendment issue, as former President Trump's defenders are saying. Well, it goes back to what you and I discussed, I think, 2 weeks ago now. You can't go into the crowded movie theater and yell fire if there's no fire.
Right.
That's not, freedom of speech has its guardrails, and that's probably one of the issues that will be debated.
Well, and apparently Trump's lawyers are going to argue the constitutionality issue as well. Can you convict a president who's already out of office? I mean, yeah. I hear you on that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm much more sharp on this one than I am on the whole freedom of speech thing. You can argue both ways, perhaps. He was indicted, and he was indicted while in office. That's the key. If someone leaves office, if a CEO of a company is charged with malfeasance while CEO and then leaves that position, that charge still remains. You don't get your get out of jail free ticket because you leave the office to which you may have committed a crime. That's not a constitutionality issue. I guess it is, because it's a legal issue. He was president of the United States when this occurred, and he was president of the United States when the House voted to impeach. That's the constitutionality issue. It's not that he left office and they were trying to impeach him from them. And we've talked before about the penalties. Well, since he's out of office, he can't be removed from office, but there are other penalties as well that can be applied if convicted. So that's fine. They can argue that, but to many people who are objective, and I put myself in that category, that one is a non-starter. As we used to say in the noir business, film noir business, that's a MacGuffin. That's a red herring. It doesn't lead you anywhere. Well, that's going to be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out today. Do you anticipate, what's your best guess? Will there be there will not be 17 Republicans who will go with the Democrats to convict. Will there be any Republicans who will go on with, who will vote for a conviction, do you think?
Okay, you're asking me to do something I rarely do, which is make a political prediction. But I will go along with this one.
I'm asking you to make your informed and knowledgeable prediction.
I know what you're saying. You phrased that quite well. No, I think I would guess that I think there would be 2 or 3 Republicans who will vote, for conviction. I would, and then I have maybe 2 in the back of my head who also may go along because of circumstances. You know what? The vote was 55-45 on the motion, on the constitutionality of it, type of thing. And so, there was 45 Republicans who then voted essentially against impeachment. That meant 5 slots were open. That's where I'm sort of drawing my 5 slots from, although I'm not saying those 5 senators are the same ones who I'm thinking of. You hear a lot of chatter about Republicans saying this is bad, but when it comes down to it, they won't pull the trigger. Someone like, and I'm not counting Susan Collins as one of the 5. I don't think she's going to vote for it. But, on paper, here she says she voted against impeachment the last time, saying that she thought that President Trump learned his lesson, okay? Well, again, did he learn his lesson? If you're Susan Collins, if you vote against impeachment again, you're saying he learned his lessons, and that's how her position has been. So, there's these people who always say, well, Susan Collins may vote because she's a moderate Republican. I look at it, as you say, my informed experience, I look at it a little differently than that.
Mitt Romney had voted for conviction in the first impeachment trial, the only Republican to do that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But if I also remember correctly, I think he's indicated he is likely not to do that this time.
You're right. He did indicate that. Although when you said his name, I was quickly going through my head what he has said recently. He indicated he would not vote again, but then he said some other remarks more recently, underscoring the damage, from January 6th more on a broader basis. So it's difficult to guess how he's going to vote. Again, I think 3 maybe is my top with maybe 2 more. It could be none. It could be 0 as well, and it could be, like I said, 51-50 passing the Senate, but not enough to convict.
Any chance any Democrats are going to not vote to convict?
I would think your Senator Manchin may be the one atop the list, and maybe one more senator who I wouldn't guess who. I just always think there might be an outlier. The 2 Democrats, drifting just a little bit from impeachment, the 2 Democrats that the party is going to watch a lot are Senator Manchin. Some are calling him the most powerful senator in D.C. now. I think that may be an exaggeration. But certainly, he's pivotal. And also one of the new senators from Arizona, not Mark Kelly, who was elected, but Kristen Simonson, who won the seat before very narrowly from Arizona. They're the 2 most moderate Democrats in the party. And they're the ones who have a lot of need to have more moderate policies to support not just their states, but their policy. So, Senator Manchin much more better than I do. I'm sure what he would do on this is unclear. But again, I'm always not surprised when there are surprises in the Senate. But then I am surprised if that's a contradiction. There aren't many Democrats who are going astray on this one because it's pretty clear. You either think that President Trump's remarks and actions contributed to what happened on January 6th, or you don't. And if you do, then it's a safe vote now, too, because most of them are, election is over, and for many in 2 years, they have 2 years to recoup whatever damage they may get from voting for impeachment.
Yeah, I don't think Senator Manchin will vote. I think he will vote to convict. He was with us a couple weeks ago. He's got some pretty strong feelings on this. I don't think he's going to stray on this one. He certainly, as you point out, though, has become a guy. I mean, honest to goodness, a day doesn't go by I'm not reading a story somewhere in the national media about the power of Joe Manchin. Saw an article yesterday, I think. Somebody said that Manchin was walking down the hallway and one of his senatorial colleagues looked at him and said, "Your Highness."
I was going to say, he's probably getting some good-natured ribbing about that. I remember when John McCain, after he lost to George Bush in the Republican primaries, but was really a leader in many issues of reform and other things, and put together, a pretty good coalition with House and Senate members on some key issues. He'd walk down the hall, and his colleagues would good-naturedly rib him like that as well. And, "Oh, I see your entourage is growing, sir," and stuff like that. There still is some of that good-naturedness between some senators, which is nice to see.
Yeah, and I don't think Manchin will stray on this one, but he has the distinct possibility of straying on some other issues. And there are a lot of folks here at home, more of the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. We don't have a lot of progressives in the state, but those who are progressives are not pleased with his much more moderate approach to things, his concern about the COVID stimulus checks, even the minimum wage. But I don't think we have to worry about him voting. I think he'll vote to convict.
Yeah, I'm from Pennsylvania, as I've said many times, and it's state similar in many ways to West Virginia in the sense of its voting base of what issues are of concern. And I'm always a strong advocate of both parties being big tents and having conservative, moderate, and progressive or liberal members that they hash out a policy that's not perfect for anybody, but is best in ways to take steps forward. Clearly, like you're talking about the minimum wage issue. I saw a story unrelated to West Virginia or Pennsylvania or anything other than a locale outside of Los Angeles where the county mandated that restaurant workers be given a $4 an hour. Grocery store workers, be given a $4 an hour pay raise because they're frontline workers. And instead of giving that raise from whatever $8 an hour to $12, the grocery stores closed their stores in that county. Okay, so there are issues of wage fairness in the country that need to be addressed, but there's also issues of economic balance. What's the impact on small businesses as the argument goes? Some of those, again, are red herrings and MacGuffins, and some of them are not. And I think, when you have people like Senator Manchin in your party, Republicans or Democrats, as well as the more liberal and more conservative members, you get these different arguments and discussion points to come up with a policy that moves the issue forward and probably doesn't please anybody fully.
Right, exactly. We're talking to Tom Squitieri, our D.C. reporter this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. It's 8:26, snowy outside, multiple inches of snow. That's the best way I'm going to put it. 3 to 5, 4 to 7, something like that. Roads are a little bit slippery. Snow is beginning to diminish, but still coming down, and we're still in the winter weather advisory. I just got a note from the Ohio County Magistrate's Office that they are closed today. Ohio County Magistrate Court will be closed today. If you have a hearing scheduled today, it will be rescheduled. So I want to get that in case some of you are leaving at 8:30 or something. The Ohio County Magistrate Court is closed today, so be aware of that. 24 degrees at the airport, 24 at my home studios here in Elm Grove, and 24 at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Tom, a couple of other things I wanted to talk about outside of impeachment. Impeachment's the big thing, but I've been hearing a lot more talk this week about what, if anything, the Biden administration might want to do about the Postal Service. There was a lot of concern raised about the Postmaster General during Trump's administration, DeJoy being too close to Trump. He put a lot of what many people felt were stumbling blocks in the way of mail-in voting and so on. And I'm hearing a lot more talk now about the need to make some changes. What are you hearing?
Yeah, you're hearing the same thing I am, and today is a good day to talk about that. Here's why. This is the first meeting of the Postal Service Board of Governors since the election. Now, under the law, the President of the United States does not have the power to actually appoint or replace the Postmaster General. The Board of Governors does. However, President Biden does have the power. He appoints people to that board. There's 9 seats on that board, and under the law, no party can have an overwhelming majority. In other words, you can have 5-4 Democrat, Republican, or Republican, Democrat. Right now, 6 of the 9 seats are filled. That's because a few people resigned under President Trump because of what happened last year, as you were describing, and other people just left. So President Biden, can appoint 3 of those seats immediately, and there is some question about whether he will ask the current members to resign, in other words, so he has a whole slate to appoint, or fire them. But with the 3 changes, I think it's right now it's 4-2 Republican Democrat. I think that's the lineup now. So if he appoints 3 Democrats, let's say, that would make it 5-4 Democrats, and they could replace the Postmaster General if that's the plan. This is speculation on my part. I want to underscore that to listeners. I'm not saying this is what I'm reporting or hearing. I'm hearing that this is a possibility, let me say. So, yeah, today is the day when they meet, and we might see some action on that. But you're right. He's under some, I don't know, pressure might be too strong of a word, but, he's been urged to do this, to correct the situation. And there's a lot of people who are frustrated. Without getting into, people are mailing bills and they're being late. This is still now. This is after the election. This is after the holiday rush. Now, more people are using the Postal Service because of COVID. They've been using it as well as other ways to track things. But still, it's now a month or so, more than a month now after the holidays, and it's still a mess.
Yeah, and I saw a statistic yesterday. The non-local delivery of mail at Christmas time was 38%. That was a 38%. What's called accuracy rate? I mean, on time rate. Thank you. That's not good. I mean, certainly I have always thought of the post office as being the most efficient branch of government. I just have faith in them to do it right. But things have not been working well. Whether Mr. DeJoy is the reason, or whether it's the pandemic increase in business, I don't know. But things have not been working right. That's for sure.
Well, let me just point out this fact: despite the pandemic, on-time rates for first-class mail topped 90% until June. That's when DeJoy took over. So from March until June, when everyone starts the pandemic, I say in March, okay, it topped 90%, okay? And then these changes started going, he limited overtime, he dismantled, sorting machines, et cetera, et cetera. All these changes that he implemented had an impact on delivery. And he did walk back some of them after pressure from Congress, but it was too late. And, of course, then you had the holiday thing. And by Christmas, and this I'm reading from statistics I collected this morning, it was, as you were saying, a dismal performance. More than one-third of first-class mail we're talking about was late. We're not talking about the other stuff, packages and parcel post and other things. First-class mail went from 90% delivered until June to more than a third late. Now, you could do that 66%. That would be on time if my math is correct, and we both know that's one of my weak areas. But it clearly is, a big, big drop.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Again, the governing board does meet today. Maybe they'll do something to satisfy the critics. We'll have to wait and see. A couple of real quick things I wanted to touch base with you on. The biggest local issue here in the Ohio Valley and across the country at local places, I think, that's been talked about, has been concern over getting vaccine distribution done properly. And my understanding is the Pentagon is going to get involved to some extent with this now?
Oh, to a great extent, yes, indeed. You're absolutely correct. On Friday, the Pentagon announced that they're authorizing 1,100 active duty service personnel, not guard, active duty service personnel to help FEMA with vaccination efforts. That would include sending out medical teams, logistics for folks, etc. However, yesterday at the briefing, they confirmed that number could go to 10,000 personnel, active duty personnel, to help distribution. Now, I don't think the Pentagon, I haven't gotten a good answer on this. If the Pentagon is not involved, I believe, in the actual transportation of vaccines from point A to point B to distribution centers, but they are going to help in the actual, implementation of vaccines. As they like to say, it's shots in the arm, literally giving medical personnel who can do that, as well as the logistics folks who can back up the others' existing medical facilities. That'll help. We really need a lot of help, and I think it's, to me, strange just a little bit, if I may. It's interesting to me how the new Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, has really focused, because of the need, as well as I think his intentions, on some of these domestic issues. COVID is a big problem. It's a year now. Vaccines are coming, but they're not getting into the arms fast enough. Everyone's acknowledging that. And the military has a cautious role to play in anything domestically when you use active duty personnel. So it's a FEMA request, and that's how it works. So if FEMA has requested their help, that's how they can provide it under the law.
The West Virginia has been cited as a good example of an efficient distribution state, and we've gotten a lot of shots in arms. Now, I continue to say I think part of that's because we're simply a smaller state. I don't think we're taking that into account enough. But another reason a lot of folks say is because we turned it over to the national, we meaning the governor, turned it over to the National Guard to kind of coordinate in the very beginning. And they've really done a pretty good job, beginning with testing and now with vaccines. So there's been a much more efficient rollout. I'm not sure what word I want to use of the system than others have had, simply because we've been using the National Guard. So the biggest issue, of course, is not getting someone to do it. The biggest issue still is getting the vaccine.
Yeah, that's just. I would not sell yourself short on that, Howard. Your state short. I mean, I admire West Virginia. I've read stories about it having one of the best rates of giving the vaccinations. Look, your job, the job of every state, it starts the moment they receive the vaccine, as you pointed out. You can't control how many you receive. And I live in Maryland, and part of the problem in Maryland has been that the number of vaccines available haven't met what was promised, and so then you have the domino effect, on distribution. But there are states the size of West Virginia, the population's roughly equivalent to West Virginia, who are not doing as well as your state in the shots in the arm aspect of it once they receive the doses. So I think West Virginia should be very proud of the job they've done, and kudos to whoever managed it. You say it's the National Guard, and that makes a lot of sense because the National Guard has been involved in your state in different issues, so they know the state. They probably know the local people, how to set things up, I'm guessing here. It's an admirable example of how to get the job done as best as you can with what you're given.
And now we just need more of the damn vaccine. So
well,
hopefully
that's something you guys can't. That's beyond the control of the states. Right, exactly. It's promising. There's two more now, I guess, that are possibly coming out, including, I forget which company, where they have it's a one-shot deal as opposed to the two-shot deal, which, would speed up the number of people who could get this vaccine. But the Pentagon, I always laugh when people would shake their heads last year. They say, what are you hearing at the Pentagon? This is last year. This is last May I'm talking about. They say, well, the Pentagon folks say we'll have the first sort of handle on all this by the fall of 2021. I was saying this in May of 2020. When people look at me like I was insane that it would be so long. But that's about the timetable when you figure all the people who fall under the category of 65 or frontline workers, et cetera. By the time all they get in, all the younger people get it, it'll probably be through the summer.
Well, I have had my first shot, waiting for the second one coming up in a couple of weeks, and then I will feel a lot more comfortable once that's over and done with. Hey, Tom, always appreciate talking to you. Some good conversation. I thank you so much. We'll do it again next Tuesday.
Okay, thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Tom Squitieri, Talk Media News. No, he's our DC reporter. I don't know who he works for anymore. I'm sorry who he works for. I say it that way because he used to be part of the Talk Radio News team, and I think Talk Radio News is gone, but Tom is still with us. He works for us, I guess. That's the bottom line, right, Biff? He works for us.
Yeah, he was the former Talk Media News correspondent, reporter, whatever title he held there.
And now he's sharing his informed and knowledgeable opinion with us. See, he tried to wiggle out of that when I asked him for an opinion. Well, I don't prefer to offer opinions. Like when you're in a trial, I've qualified you as an expert witness. You can offer your opinions. Some more information for you coming up in a minute or two about what's happening out there on the roads and elsewhere. I got a couple of pieces of new information. I want to get to that in a matter of minutes or so. Also want to talk a little bit more about the income tax story in West Virginia. What's the impact going to be on child welfare? Another update as we begin to walk our way down towards the Trump impeachment trial, which kicks off officially at 1 o'clock. All of that is coming up in the next half hour of the show. But first, let's check some Ohio Valley headlines. And for that, we start with our friends at the Big 7.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for you.
stop that, stop that, stop that.
Texas Tech currently 5th in the league in scoring. They're averaging 73 a game. West Virginia now is number 2 in conference scoring at 76 points per contest. When it comes to scoring defense, Red Raiders, as usual, are tough, giving up just under 69 points per game. West Virginia better defensively, but not where it needs to be. The Mountaineers are surrendering 73 points per game. The tip-off tonight is set for 9 o'clock. Our pregame coverage here begins at 8. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker Darnell Foster with a look at your local weather forecast for your Tuesday. Mostly cloudy with a snow shower or two, a daytime high near 33. Overnight low of 17 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Mostly cloudy to start your Wednesday with some early morning snow. Otherwise, mostly cloudy through the afternoon with temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
You're listening to The Watchdog, now on FM at 97.7 and 98.1. Sounds so clear. You can hear Bill DeFabio's mustache grow. The Watchdog, live and local talk radio, just the way you like it. Thank you for riding with The Watchdog, live and local, just the way you like it. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-TALK.
The Valley's most interesting conversations continue now on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe, brought to you in part by Wheeling Hospital.
Snowy morning outside. Snow continues to come down, lighter than it was, but still coming down pretty good. It's going to stay that way for the next couple of hours, maybe begin to really lighten up around 9 o'clock or so, and should be pretty much done by noontime. That according to Zach Petty at the Big 7. However, again, we have more snow coming back tomorrow. But for today, roads are snow covered, anywhere 3 to 5, 4 to 7 inches, depending on where you are in the upper Ohio Valley. Significant roads out there. A couple of things to tell you. Belmont County roads are currently in what they call level 2. That means only those who feel it is necessary to drive should be on the roads in Belmont County. Right now, it's recommended you stay home unless you absolutely have to be on the roads in Belmont County. If the county makes it to level 3, then the roads will be closed completely to non-emergency drivers. So things are getting a little bit dicey out there. Belmont County has put itself on level 2, which means don't go out until or unless you absolutely have to. Now, also, I have a note from the Ohio County Emergency Management Agency. I think that's who it's from. Saying in Ohio County, they're recommending don't go out unless you have to. The roads are in pretty bad shape. If you're going to go out, be very careful about driving. Here's the note from the Ohio County 911 Center. Roads are cautious. Use extreme caution. The Sheriff's Department is reporting hazardous road conditions, asking anyone who doesn't have to be out this morning to please stay at home. Most of you, of course, know by now, schools are on some kind of a change. Some schools are canceled. I don't know if any are still actually on a delay. I imagine they're all canceled. Or many of them are on a remote schedule now. They're on remote learning for the day. But the Sheriff's Department in Ohio County reporting hazardous road conditions and asking those who don't have to be out this morning to please stay at home. Now, with all of that as a predicate, I had a question asked earlier this morning about the vaccines that were being given up at the Highlands today. And according to the latest note from the Ohio County Health Department, the Ohio County Community Vaccination Center is open today for those of you who are scheduled to have vaccines, all right? It is an appointment-only event. It's underway. If you have an early appointment, drive slow. If necessary, come in later in the day today. There are all kinds of vaccination clinics going on all this week up at the Highlands. Today, it is for 80 years and older who are getting their second dose. 80 years and older, if you're getting your second dose of the Moderna vaccine, if you've gotten your first dose on the 10th of January or the 11th of January. I think you would have been notified. I'm not telling you to go if those are the circumstances, but if you have an appointment already, if you've been scheduled to go, according to the latest information I have, which is a little less than an hour ago, the Ohio County Community Vaccination Center is open today for the COVID-19 vaccinations by appointment. If you have to get there late, that's okay. They'll work you in. And I would assume, and this part is an assumption, if you just can't make it today, they'll reschedule you for some other date. This is the second dose, though, so you can't let it go too long. That's the latest word on that from the Ohio County Health Department that I have. So basically the roads, again, are in kind of crappy conditions. And I had a note from the Ohio County Magistrate's Office. Ohio County Magistrate Court is closed today. If you have a hearing, that will be rescheduled. So Ohio County Magistrate Court is closed today. I guess it's just not the world's best day out there, Biff.
Everybody play hooky. Just stay at home.
Yeah.
If you don't, or if you can, just stay at home. Play hooky today. Stay warm, stay on the couch, catch up on some of your favorite shows, have a cup, or if you've already had one, have your second cup of coffee, or make some hot chocolate with marshmallows and just enjoy the day.
Bless my wife. She did not give me marshmallows. I don't think we have any, but she made me a nice, big mug of hot chocolate this morning. I'm very excited. Hot chocolate. Oh, man, does this taste so good, too. Perfect for today. Absolutely perfect for today. 8:50, 10 till the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Oh, I hear my little buddy is just coming in the front door outside, too. My little buddy Teddy my grandson Teddy is on remote learning today. He'll be learning here, which means I hope I get to watch him do his French again. I love to watch that kid do his French class. It just absolutely amazes me. I mean, I am lucky to be able to say, oui, oui, monsieur. That's French to me. And this kid talks in French. He bumped into his French teacher outside of the classroom last week, and they started talking in French. Bonjour, Teddy. Bonjour, Madame McAteer. And they started what the hell what are you talking about?
You needed a translator, didn't you?
I did. It's amazing to me. The kid's 5 years old, and he's talking French. And maybe he'll have his yoga class too. I have never in my listen. I can't stand up now, let alone do yoga. But I mean, there was a time when maybe I could have done yoga, but I never did yoga. Period. This kid does yoga. I watch it. I love it when he's home on remote, just because I get to watch. I watch what he does. It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. He'll probably come in here shortly, Biffy. He'll want to talk to you. He always wants to talk to you as soon as he gets.
Yeah,
we dropped down to the radio station yesterday. You weren't there. I stopped in to pick up a couple of items, and by the way, thank you for saving my items. I wonder why I didn't get those at Christmas time.
Yeah, there was a story behind that.
Okay, I kept every time I was kind of surprised. Usually get those a gift, but okay, and all right, maybe it's a different year this year and everything. And then you but thank you for saving this for me. Anyways, so I stopped in just to pick up a couple of things at the radio station, and Teddy was in the car, and I got out to get in. He goes, Is Biff in there? I said, no, I don't think. I better go see if Biff is in there. I said, no, Biff is not in there. I take my word for it. He's not. I don't know what it is. He just. But shortly he'll be in probably He knows when it's a news break.
Yeah.
So at 9:00 he'll probably come popping in and want to say hello to you. The trial of Donald Trump in the Senate gets underway today. 1:00 is the official start of that. We're not going to be providing you with continuous live coverage, although throughout the day, if something interesting happens, we may pop in for little bits and pieces of the actual trial. In the meantime, we will have status updates for you all throughout the trial, beginning today and continuing through this week and into next week. They're going to take a break for the weekend because one of the attorneys is Jewish and wants to take a break for the Sabbath, which everybody concurred with. So it'll continue through the weekend, or no, it won't continue through the weekend, but it'll continue to the weekend and then continue next week. And we're going to continue to provide some previews of the impeachment trial here on the Watchdog Morning Show this morning from ABC News.
The second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump begins in the Senate, with House impeachment managers trying to convince the Senate that the president incited insurrection with his comments before the Capitol riot. Donald Trump's legal team will argue that the rioters stormed Capitol Hill on their own, not because Trump told them to.
The defense will also claim that because Trump is no longer in office, the trial is unconstitutional, calling it political theater, saying the case should be immediately dismissed. 45 out of 50 Republicans in the Senate have already signaled they agree with that argument. But Congressman Adam Kinzinger, one of the handful of House Republicans who voted to impeach Trump, is urging members of his own party to take a stand and vote to convict, calling it a matter of accountability. And writing in a Washington Post op-ed, the future of our party and our country depends on confronting what happened so it doesn't happen again.
ABC congressional correspondent Rachel Scott with continuing coverage, the impeachment trial. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 6 before the hour here on the Watchdog Morning Show. Legislature in West Virginia gets underway this week. Tomorrow night is the governor's State of the State speech. I thought we might carry that live, but I think we have WVU women's basketball tomorrow night, Biffy, so I don't think we'll have a chance to bring you the governor's speech live. But it will be on Metro News and on public television, some other places, so if you want to watch it. And we'll have some reaction and response to it on Thursday morning on the Watchdog Morning Show. But the State of the State speech is always sort of the kickoff of the actual work part of the legislative session. We would assume the governor tomorrow will talk about reducing or eliminating the income tax, the state income tax. That is one of the big issues that's been talked about a lot in the last several weeks. The Senate President Craig Blair and House Speaker Roger Hanshaw both seem to think that that's going to be a major topic of conversation. A lot of Democrats feel that it's a bad mistake for them to make. And one of the reasons is because of what the impact of that could be, sort of the unintended impact. Hey, it's always nice to say, oh, great, I don't want to pay an income tax. Listen, I'm the same way. Well, I'd love to not have to pay income tax. But then that means you don't have, certain kinds of government operations. And one of the things that could be affected are some programs for children and families. Diane Barnard with the Washington News Service took a look at how some child welfare folks are feeling about this potential reduction in the income tax in West Virginia.
Some of West Virginia's lawmakers are proposing but repealed it in 2017 after revenues plunged. For West Virginia News Service, I'm Diane Bernard.
Thank you, Diane. And we'll continue to cover that story a lot over the next several days and weeks as the legislature gets underway. Officially tomorrow, they hold a very short meeting in the daytime, and then they adjourn until the governor gives his State of the State speech, and then they'll really kick into action, I guess, on Thursday. And we'll have local folks to talk about it. We'll have analysts to talk about it. We'll have Brad and Mark and Stephen and everybody joining us to give their thoughts and their opinions on what's happening down in Charleston. We're going to shift gears a little bit coming up in the next hour, at least for part of the next hour. We're going to talk to Kevin Miller, who is the author of a new book called White Skies, Black Mingo. It is a novel set in Wheeling in the era of the Civil War. I'm curious as to what it's all about. I've begun to read the book, but just begun as of yesterday. So Kevin Miller is going to join us coming up in the next hour of the show, plus continuing previews of the Trump impeachment trial. And the Big Seven will be in to tell us what they're working on. ABC's here now.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
The second impeachment trial of former President.
All right, I'm back in a minute, Biffy. You can get our guy whenever you're ready. Let me know.